Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kesgrave Panthers Podcast. Today, our special guest is 1987 World Champion Martyn Hepworth. How are you feeling today, Martyn?
Fine. Had a busy day at work, but looking forward to the weekend.
That's good. All right, so we'll start off as normal. So how did you get into cycle speedway?
It was 1979, when I was introduced to cycle speedway. It was a case of I was what we called tracking in my day. I think Steve Harris mentioned it, where you'd get some tires or you'd mark out a speedway track and you'd emulate your heroes of the speedway of that era, 70s and 80s, which I went to. And literally it was with my school friends. And what actually happened is one of my school friends, I think it was his brother-in-law or uncle, was Colin Sutton, that ran the pool club. And he came down and watched us emulating our speedway heroes. And he said, well, we do something called cycle speedway. And do you want to come and have a look? And that was it. Went to our first meeting, I think it was at Hamworthy on the south coast, and never looked back after that. So that was how I got into cycle speedway all those years ago.
So was it like just you that went over and started to ride for pool, or did like your friends go with you?
No, actually, I started racing in Weymouth. My first club was Weymouth. I raced for Weymouth from 1979 till 1986. So I was with all my school friends, and we all raced for Weymouth as a club. And we just progressed from being those lads messing around on bikes when we were at school to building our own track in a very, very temporary track. And I think quite a few people came down and visited it in the summer. But it's very, very small, very, very basic. But it was a cycle speedway track that we could race on. And we had quite a few touring teams. I remember one team from Somersham with Kevin Sutton and Alan Scrutton, and I'm not sure whether John Goodyear was there, but we had them touring on this very, very small track. But it was our own track, yeah, it was. We were into cycle speedway then. We had tapes that went up and flags, and and it was we were actually racing as a team format. So it was great.
So did you say you stayed at Weymouth until 1986?
Yes, yeah, I did. And we had a really, really good team, actually, and we entered the league. Our track in 1979 at the end of the season got bulldozed. So we spent the whole of the 1980 season without a track. And myself and my school friends, Jeremy Dick and Ian Alcock, and people that raced for quite a while with me, and after I left, we didn't have a track for the 80 season, so we raced at local tracks using pool as our home base. And in 1981, we built our own brand new track, which was in the same vicinity as the small one that we had originally. And we had a big meeting against Exmouth to get that underway, and then we entered the league, and we never looked back really. And we were quite successful. I think we come second one year to Bristol St George in the Western League, which we had a really good junior side, and we were quite competitive, and people enjoyed coming down to Weymouth as well, because it was a seaside town. So have you ever been to Weymouth?
I don't think so. Not that I can remember. I might have been, but
maybe one day.
Yeah.
It's a nice seaside town. It's got a nice beach.
Did you like the original track more than the second one you built, or which did you prefer?
The original track was very, very basic, but the track we had opened in 1981 was a great little circuit, and it started off with a very poor surface. It had limestone on it, which people did not enjoy when they first arrived. Very, very slippery and very hard work, but of course we had a lot of home advantage with that. And then we put red shale on it, which was the standard, and it became a quite good circuit then. It was technical, but enjoyable to ride, and people didn't really struggle on our track, but we certainly knew the lines around there, and we won matches at times quite comfortably. And we had a good set of riders at Weymouth, very, very good, and it was really enjoyable as well. So, and we had teams coming from all around the southwest, and we entered the British team as well. So in the juniors, I think juniors, we reached the semi-finals of the British junior team, which was under 18. We got beaten by Horsepath in the semi-final, and Poole went on to win that as well.
Yes, so
but yeah, really enjoyed my time at Weymouth.
So over the winter of 86, 87, I believe you moved to Poole.
That's correct. Yeah. I've been training with the Poole club for quite a while. I was getting better, and I was always, as a Weymouth rider, I was getting invitations to meetings all around the country. I think 1984, when I was a Weymouth rider, and I reached my first senior final as quite a young lad. It put me on the map, and we always used to get invites. They used to come through for big individual meetings, and I'd accept every single one as long as I could make it if it wasn't working. But so yeah, I always accepted those, and that's why I was training at Poole, because they were having dedicated sessions, and I could get my fitness to a level where I could compete really, really well at other tracks and in individual meetings around the country. So it was important for me to get myself as fit as possible. It was paramount. I enjoyed training. Some people don't, but I used to actually bury myself when I was training. So to go to the Poole club and train with them was just, I learned a lot. Even though it was only one night a week, I was learning different skills and different things. And of course, they kept on asking for me to join Poole, and I kept saying no because I wanted to ride for Weymouth. But things changed, and I wanted to better myself eventually. So I just I moved in the winter of '86 and joined then one of the best clubs in cycle speedway, and I was glad to as well. It's a good move.
So did it take you like a while to get used to like riding at Poole, or were there any like major differences?
No, I was racing on it regularly anyway, so that move from Weymouth, I was getting good at cycle speedway, but the move to Poole really did change me as a rider. I was more, when I was riding for Weymouth, although I rode in a team, I was more of an individual rider. But when I went to Poole, I became a member of a team, and I was a valued member of a team. And that was, it changed my outlook on racing completely. And I had people to give me advice and tell me what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. So it was really the transformation in 12 months of me being a Weymouth rider to the end of 1987. I went from being here literally to up here. the pool club were fantastic.
So that 1987 season, I've got a list here, and I believe you won the Worlds, the British, the World Team Cup, the Knockout Cup, and the Gold Cup. So was it that move to pool that really made you the better rider and made you go on to win all those things?
Yeah, definitely. No, it was that season. I'll tell you a little story. The little things that changed my cycle speeder rider called Colin Jones. And are we all right? Our internet? Okay. Sorry,
yeah, I think it went a bit, but it's fine now.
Yeah, sorry. With Colin Jones, and we went to Bristol St George racing for pool for the first ever meeting that I raced for pool, and Colin and I had this habit of taking our cameras out when we raced for Weymouth and taking a lot of photographs. I've got quite a few albums of us racing, and the first meeting I rode for pool at Bristol St George, I was out in heat 1, I think. I was racing number 2, and after I came in for my race, I got my camera out. Went and stood in the pits, got my camera out, and Colin Sutton, obviously you know who Colin Sutton is, he came over and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just going to take a photograph." He said, No. You race for pool now. You don't do things like that. Put your camera away and cheer on your teammates." And that was, okay. That was a realization moment. I'm actually riding for pool now, not riding for Weymouth. So that was quite a moment actually, when you're first telling off, as it were, from the big man himself. So yeah, that was the kind of attitude change that I needed. I needed to focus on the racing and focus on my teammates and get the job done.
So, did you enjoy the team riding, or would you say you prefer individual?
Before I joined pool, I enjoyed individuals immensely, but I had teammates that relied on me when I joined pool. So I was a member of a team, and we were racing other teams that were just as strong as us. So it was imperative that you pulled your weight, and not only did people rely on me to get the points, I relied on my teammate or my other teammates that were in the team to win matches. So it was going from being at Weymouth to pool was a massive difference, because you were a member of the team, and that really did spur me on. Being, people, giving you advice and shouting at you, really yelling at you, just, and you were listening. If you didn't listen, you could quite easily make a mistake and let your teammates down. So yeah, I had big ears. I was listening.
Yeah. So with team riding, I believe at pool, as soon as you joined in 1987, you won 6 knockout cups in a row. And what did that feel like?
That the first British team final that I rode in was at Sandwell in 1987 against the massive Wentzfield club, and gosh, I was nervous. I don't get nervous, apart from talking to you two, which is really weird. It was a massive meeting, and Wentzfield being the huge club they were, there was pressure on us, and it was Sandwell was a really tight track, and I think maybe Paul Hurd mentioned it in one of your other podcasts about it being quite a technical track but quite fast, and I liked Sandwell as well. And although I had a couple of good rides, I had a bit of a nightmare, but it was a last heat decider and we won. So yeah, it was just absolutely tremendous. And to win a massive trophy like that with your friends and a massive club with huge support, it was, yeah, very, very special time. Very special. It's like the FA Cup of Cycle Speedway, isn't it? It was just a big, yeah, tremendous to ride in that meeting.
Would you say that you've like had a favourite team riding partner?
My team when I was at Poole, team riding at Weymouth was okay, and I rode with quite a few people at Weymouth, but at Poole they partnered me with specific people. The main team partner I had was still a very, very good friend of mine called Adam Bardsley, and I see him regularly. We go to Speedway together, and if ever I go to the Cycle Speedway, he's always there. And I was always had at least 3 races with him in an 18 heat formula. And another person I always rode with was Adi Gale. And those two, for me, Adi was just, he used to yell at me something chronic when I rode with him. And Adam was the poor sucker that, because I could get out the start and he couldn't, he was the one had to put up with all the fighting and you know, getting the single point or the 7-3 with me. Whereas I'd just get up and go 9 times out of 10, not every time. But they always had your back. So that was those two I always remember. I rode with other people, obviously, but it was never too much carnage when I was racing with them. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Right. So we've talked a bit about team riding, but now let's talk about your individual achievements. So World Champion and British Champion in the same season. What did that feel like?
Winning those, I won the world title. I won the world title before my British Championship. Do I think so? Not 100% sure now. It's such a long time ago. But I won it at Norwich in '87, and I treated every meeting that I went to and rode in relatively the same as an individual. I wanted to win it, or at least get on the podium. I've always said that if you're going to, enter a meeting, then the podium should be always your goal, because you get something out of that. And at Norwich in '87, it just went my way, completely. And it chucked it down with rain for the last 4 races and went greasy and slippery. And my last race, I was clear enough to know that even if I come 3rd, I was still going to win it. So I've done the hard work in the first 4 races. Fantastic feeling when you go across the line. It doesn't really click in. My wife was there as well, and I celebrated it with her as soon as I crossed the line, and that was a nice moment. And people were happy for me as well. The British was on my home track in '87, and a lot of people said that I was going to win it. There was a few dodgy moments during the meeting, but it all turned out good, and I was at the top of my game in that year. I was really going well, and but that was the change. That was a change from '86 being a Weymouth rider to being a member of such a big club, and people were relying on me, and it was nice to return the favour of winning those and bringing it back to Poole. It was special.
So you said that, like, for the British, people had some like expectations, but they thought you were gonna win. But do you think that kind of pressure got to you?
No, I was confident. I have to admit, I was confident. when you, it's got to fall your way. It has got to, but you've got to put the hard work in. I was the fittest that I could ever be. I was training like a demon, and it was on my home circuit. I knew it. Admittedly, I lived in Weymouth and travelled to Poole, but there was no travelling. There was no overnight staying in hotels or anything like that. So I was really quite calm and collected, and rose to the big occasion. Really, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything about that meeting. It was just glorious. It was on a nice sunny day as well, and it just perfect. It just worked out a treat. I don't know. Well, the video is on YouTube. I watch it about 3 times a week. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the day.
Yeah, so I don't think at the moment that the sport is as big as it was or it could be. So what do you think could be done to really promote the sport and improve, or not improve, but improve the numbers that are in the sport?
Well, in my day, we didn't have, I think Alan Busby mentioned it, and the fact that my son is nearly 21, and he is a computer wizard, loves his computer, very clever. If I got any problems with mine, then he'll take it on and sort it out, and he loves a bit of gaming. I like a bit of gaming as well. I've got a console, so I like to play a bit of Call of Duty and stuff like that. But cycle speed in my day, there were so many people doing it. It was so competitive, so many fantastic riders. And when I retired in '93, or beginning of '93, I rode the indoors '93 and then retired. I stayed away from the sport for quite a while, being that distance away from any tracks. I went back to watch it after about 10 years, something like that. And I went back and watched it, and it was rubbish. It was awful. The riders were overweight, they were all slow, and I thought I could still race just as good as them, and I haven't done it for 10 years. But I don't know, about 2007, something like that, I went back and I watched a British individual final at Poole, and it was brilliant. The standard of racing had changed. It was back to how I raced, and ever since then I've watched you guys at Horsebath this year. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed with the guys that ride, and the girls and the kids. The step up from what I saw in 2000, late 2000 or early 2000s has been great, but we're still not that big cycle sport like your mountain biking and your road cycling and everything like that. So it's a difficult one, but for me, social media is the big one where we can get our sport promoted. I've always said that if you've got a sport and you can share anything about it on social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, share, and if one person notices it and watches a video and then finds out where their local club is, just through watching a video of you guys racing in the under 16 at Horsebath this year, then that's got to be a good thing, and that's going to get people down to the club. And I've seen how many youngsters are racing at the moment, but it's that step from when they leave school to carry on racing then. Mums and dads can help when they're so small, but it's that point where you leave school and I fancy going down the pub, going to a nightclub. I know you two are a little bit young for that, but it happens, and people drift away. And cycle speeder is one of those sports where you can't ride a cycle speeder bike on the road, whereas a mountain bike and a road bike and a BMX and all that, like, you can. So it's a difficult sport to keep kids interested in, because they can't ride a cycle speeder bike into town to go and watch the cinema. So social media, if we could just share those videos, even if somebody takes a video of their local race meeting and share it on social media, and people can share it and share it and share it, and I think we should get noticed at some stage.
So what kept you riding then? Like, what stopped you from drifting away at that age?
I love cycle speedway. I just loved racing and going all around the country, and just meeting the friends I've made through cycle speed, and meeting them again. And of course, without those days, all we had was a telephone, so there was no social media or anything like that. So we just look forward to getting together, going as a club to a race meeting and meeting friends or making new friends. And we used to go down the pub afterwards, and so it's a difficult one. I enjoyed my time as cycle speed. I'd never change it for anything. I love it, and I still keep in touch with all my friends that I race with. It was, but I say, you guys, it's a different ball game, isn't it? With all your friends being on a simple device like that, and all your friends are on that, aren't they? So it's a difficult one, but if you can keep kids interested by racing cycle speed and the competitive side of it, and the different age levels, I think that's, mums and dads as well. Mums and dads really, really do help if they're involved with the club when the kids are racing.
Yeah, so I think you travelled to Australia to defend your world title in '88, and so what was that experience like, really?
Yeah, the '88 World Masters final, I got rode around the track for 4 laps by Dave Murphy, and so I didn't regain my title. I wasn't happy about that, and he knows it. No, my time in Australia was when I arrived in Australia, I was the world champion, and the best bit about that was the kids were just followed me everywhere, and that was just brilliant. I loved every minute of that racing. I raced for the Great Britain touring side in 7 tests, not in every test, but that was a great experience. The escapades we got up to while we're over there, we won't go into them. What goes on tour stays on tour. We had a great time there. I was with 30 odd of my friends from the pool club, and of course made loads and loads of new friends over there. So you get the chance, guys. It's awesome. And everybody that has ever been on a tour, whether it be to Poland or anywhere else in Europe or to Australia, it's a must. I was very privileged to get picked and to represent England in the World Team Cup. That was an honour. To pull the GB shirt on was an honour, and to get out there was an honour as well. Yeah, still reminisce about it. It's good, very entertaining.
So, what did you think of the tracks there?
Yeah, they were good. I liked them. Salisbury was fantastic. Loved the pace you could get at Salisbury. Findon was very, very technical and a bit slippery. There's not many tracks that I go on that I ever feared. Poole obviously was one of my favourite tracks, and I loved racing at Birmingham. That was another fast track, and all the small tracks like Horsepath and Samwell. Norwich was another track. They're all very, very technical and small, but I just got on with whatever I was put in front of me, and always enjoyed, unless of course I was ended up on my backside. You never enjoy falling off. happened quite a few times. But a track is a track. You just get on and you race it. Some people race different tracks better than you, but you get on with it.
Right. So yeah, I think we've got through quite a bit today. So yeah, thank you, Martyn, for joining us today.
Thank you, Noah, and thank you, Charlie.
And
So,
yeah, so we will see everybody next time. Goodbye.